Welcome back to the Resupply with me, Guy Next Door,
And me, Than.
bringing you your weekly double tap of all things Space Marines and Laser Force. We are 2/3 as good as we normally are this week. Missing one DK. Well, actually, we'll see. We'll see how that goes because we have a guest, but.
Missing might be overstating things a bit.
we weren't overly organized this week, so we've scrambled together to bring you the best of what we could bust. No, just jokes. But before we get into it, Than, do you want to give us the lowdown of what's happening for this upcoming Nationals?
I mean, I suppose I can do that since DK's not here, and that's normally his job is to, be the information person.
Yeah.
So, in case you missed last week's episode of the Resupply, and if you did, how dare you? The 2020 Laser Force Internationals will be held in the lovely Auckland, New Zealand.
Yes.
Yeah,
Love
Steve-O's super happy because he
Love it.
doesn't have to travel this year. It's amazing.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah, and it's going to be July 20th through July 24th.
Yep.
And that's really all that you beautiful people need to know right at this second, so you can set your Google flight trackers up, so you can try to find deals on flights there, because it's a little bit of a haul, and it's not always the cheapest ticket, but it is a pretty fucking phenomenal country to visit.
True story.
Even if you're not gonna come down for nationals, you should probably just come down and visit anyway. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
That classic Kiwi hospitality is something that everyone should experience at least once in their life. And I guess a nice little segue. We'll find out whether or not he's heading down, or at least if he's thinking about it. But we have a guest on the pod. He's been on the podcast before, and we managed to track him down again. This week, we'll welcome back to the podcast Thunder out of St. George. What's up?
Hey, everybody. Not a whole lot.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
He sounds so exasperated with us already.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I mean, you sound like you in normal, whenever I see you. This is about as even keel as we get, right? Like it's not really above or below this.
Sure.
Look, we wanted to have a young, because obviously before Nationals comes up, you guys are actually hosting a tournament. But before we get to that, I wanted to obviously get your perspective of how Detroit Nats went this year for you guys.
Oh, I thought it went pretty all right.
Yeah.
Geez, I don't know. We had a long period where we didn't really play here.
Yeah.
Which we kind of brushed over in the last one. So,
what was it, like 2 years?
it was about 7.
Fuck that.
Yeah, we didn't play. So
Hard pass.
But yet you guys still showed up at tournaments even without playing, so that was still
that's
cool.
true.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty
we
awesome.
did. And so we've been kind of trying to rebuild and get some new players, and kind of figure out which of our old players want to come back and things like that. So, I feel like for kind of coming out of the woodwork, and we had Snuffles. It was his first internationals, and it was Inferno's second internationals, and not only that, but when he played in Sacramento, when he went to the internationals in Sacramento 2 years ago, the only Space Marines games he had played was from the West Coast tournament in Sacramento just before that.
Holy crap.
We didn't have enough players to have played yet.
Yeah.
So, still kind of trying to get back into it and figure out,
Everything.
Yeah, figure out everything. But
Where did you
it was
guys
a lot of
place?
I don't know. We placed
Was it fifth?
in round play. We placed third. I
Wow.
think it was fifth.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
I missed our second matchup.
Yeah.
Because I had the day off on the Wednesday for health issues. But that was probably the game that I was most gutted about missing. Because I know that the first one, even though I think you guys spanked us, it was still a great game to play. It's always really fun playing you guys.
Yeah.
And Snuffles killed it. Like, he had a great tournament.
I know. He played super well. Yeah, he really did.
I think he got a few nods. Did he win rookie?
He should have, but no, he didn't.
Oh, guts. Ooh, that's a nerve right there. Well, I'm pretty sure. I think he got close, right? Like, he got very close to winning.
I don't know. I never looked at the numbers, but
that's a shame because I thought he played well.
yeah, I mean, he did, and especially with how I would say different their arena is from ours. I thought he and really all of us did fairly well.
Yeah, I know. Tanador was like killing it all week.
Yeah, he played super well.
Yeah, he did. And I think he played. He sort of switched between kind of commander and scout, right?
Yeah, in round play, he played almost exclusively scout.
Yeah.
And then in the finals, he played quite a few commander games.
Yeah.
But...
He was on form. It was good to see.
Yeah.
And like you say, for guys that are sort of set out for quite a while to come back and do as well as he did.
Yeah, that was
good.
his first tournament since Sacramento in 2012.
Yeah.
So it had been a while.
It's a long time between sodas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how did you find the tournament personally? Like, did you enjoy it or?
Yeah, I did enjoy it. Their arena isn't my favorite.
I probably.
But
I probably
really
second
enjoyed
that.
playing. Yeah, for sure. But I really enjoyed playing and seeing everybody, and it was a blast.
Yeah.
So.
But also, I mean, it would make sense that Detroit's arena would be neither of your favorites, given that it's diametrically opposed to the type of arenas that both of you guys normally play in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because your guys is sort of fast elims kind of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And small. I mean, really opposite of theirs in almost every way, but probably 1/5 the size of theirs.
It's no, because there's I think like the ground floor portion of it, I think is around the 7.5 to 8,000 square foot mark. Your downstairs is not 1,500 to 2,000 square feet.
I was kind of so really, is it that small? I felt like it was bigger, but yeah, our downstairs is, I think, just shy of 3,000.
Okay.
I don't understand any of these measurements.
Yeah.
You know what? If you care enough, and you're not familiar with square feet,
Honestly, if it was square meters,
there's this great thing called Google that will let you convert these measurements if you care that much.
Yeah, I don't see. I don't really know what size square meters are either, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference to me. So,
Steve, I'll put it this way: Auckland's floor space is similar size to St. George's floor space.
Look, if I had one regret from my my Nats experience this year, or at least my trip to the US this year, my one major regret was not actually coming out to St. George when we were in Vegas.
Yeah.
That bugged me actually. Afterwards, we had planned on coming out, and then we were just too munted to actually head out, and then it just didn't really work out. So in hindsight, I kind of wish that we'd made the trip out because that would have been awesome. But shit happens.
Yeah, it's close.
Yeah,
but close.
Maybe you guys host the tournament after we do. We'll see.
Yeah, we definitely hope that the owner would even entertain that as a possibility.
Yeah. How is your
Um,
ownership with that sort of thing? Have you kind of brought it up with them at all?
Not really. We're kind of hoping that this tournament we host goes well.
Yeah.
And that leaves him a little open to letting us do something.
Well, that
I don't know, he's never closed before for anything.
right.
So that it would be a battle, but who knows?
Yeah, understandable. We had our old owner was just opposed. Did
That was
against.
that was certainly one way of describing Kev when he owned Auckland.
Yeah.
Trying to, I mean, I know, like 2002 when you guys hosted, went. I mean, it went, and then I definitely remember the conversations that you and I had with him to try to convince him that to let us host in '06 was yeah, there was definitely some interestingness involved with those conversations for sure.
Well, look, I mean, I guess it's a perfect segue into the upcoming tournament that you guys are hosting.
Yeah.
So give us some info on dates and stuff if you've got it.
Cool, I do. Yeah, we're going to host the official practice day on Sunday the 3rd.
The 3rd of what?
November.
There you go.
And what'll be great about that is the facility is closed on Sundays, so it'll be just us there.
Yeah.
We don't have to battle with general public or anything like that.
That's handy.
And then the tournament days are November 4th, 5th, and 6th.
How's the tournament gonna run? Is it random draw or?
No, it'll be like structured teams.
Oh, perfect.
Teams that you pick.
Yeah. I gotta say, like, I did have a sneaky look to see what the flights would be to fly to Vegas return.
I bet it's a lot.
Oh, it's up there. I was hoping for some, last minute special, but it's gonna be like $2,000 to fly over for 4 days. Yeah, but
that seems a little excessive.
we could dream. Do you have an idea of who's coming? Like how many teams are coming?
That's quite the question, isn't it? It sounds like we're getting one from Chula Vista and San Marcos.
Oh, cool.
We will have one, probably one from Sacramento and one from Loveland.
Yeah.
And then
one from Germany. Let's not forget the
one
Germans.
From Germany. Yep.
That's amazing.
Sounds like all we're gonna have.
So, is it sort of capped? Like, is it a little bit smaller, just because of the amount of days or whatever? Or because I'd imagine that like Loveland have enough to send at least 2.
Well, you'd think we were expecting 3 out of them.
Yeah.
And I don't really have the story, but this shouldn't surprise anyone. But apparently there was drama, and most of the people aren't gonna come. So
Right.
that's really
What a shame.
how that apparently went down. Yeah.
Well, because how like Colorado's like what the next state up or something, or I don't know. My
It's
geography.
close. Loveland is probably 9.5 hours from here.
Yeah, it's not too bad,
It's
man.
not terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, we've made the trip there, I think 3 times.
Yeah.
So it's not that bad.
What a shame, but shit happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the flip side of that is like if there are only 5 teams, then I mean that certainly allows for a lot more socializing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's you have to kind of take the good with the bad on that.
Yeah.
Not that most of us like each other, so.
And whether you count this as a pro or a con, like I said, the owner's never closed for anything before ever.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one time that the employees got in trouble for turning some arcade games off 1 minute before the facility was supposed to
Wow.
close. So, anyway, we are playing in the mornings before the place opens,
Oh, what time do you
and
start?
then we're probably starting at either 8 or 9 a.m., kind of depending on what kind of time we need
Right.
for the play, and then we're ending every day by 5 o'clock.
That's decent. That's a decent amount of time still, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's still. I mean, that's a lot of time. But
yeah,
we'll have a lot of time to socialize, I guess is the point.
yeah, perfect. Like, especially for what, 5 teams. Like,
Yeah.
I remember, like, I think Auckland we had 6, and you kind of you play a work day essentially. Like, you're not. It's not like
Yeah.
these days where you're there until 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Or
Well, yeah, and those 10, 12, 14-hour days are
brutal.
those are a bit long.
Yeah. It's up there.
Yeah.
Like, we've sort of been doing the numbers for Auckland, and like trying to figure out, look, are we gonna have to play 14-hour days? Can we front load the tournament and play those first, like we did in Detroit, right? We played Monday, Tuesday with
Right.
long days, and then I think Wednesday and Thursday were significantly shorter.
Right.
From memory,
yeah.
I don't know. It was ages ago. Oh, cool. I mean, it sounds like it's gonna be pretty sweet. Like, do you guys have the numbers for two decent teams out of St. George?
We should. Um, it's so funny because even in like we can get 10, 12, 14, 16 people to our weekly practices. We can we have the people, and we had, and we were looking at even possibly 8 or 10 people for Detroit.
Oh, wow.
But for some reason, people say they have school or they can't get work off or whatever it is, and so
School, work, overrated, all of it, completely overrated.
I find that it's quite an American thing to feel super bad about blowing off your responsibilities, because
I guess.
down this way we're constantly shirking ours.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, still, like, with 5 it's going to be cool, and you've got like a decent amount of like traveling teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you say the Sacramento kids are coming?
Yeah. I think they're bringing one team or really close to it.
Yeah.
Basically, it's at least based on the last conversations that I've had with people. Disco Monkey's coming, Autumn's coming, Aiden's coming, and some other people that I don't know who the fuck they are, so I don't care. And both DK and Russ are still trying to make it.
Yeah.
But they've both got some outside influences that may prevent that from happening between work and other things. So,
are you going?
Yeah, I'm going.
You are going. Who are you playing for? Or was that a secret?
Team? No, it's right now the default assumption is that I'll be playing with Sacramento.
Right.
Because there's really honestly nobody else that I would be able to play for.
Yeah.
Let's call that for what it is. So yeah, so hence the so there's 4 people, including myself, that I know for Sacramento, and then there's some fucking random that I have no fucking idea who this person is. So again, my care factor pretty minimal.
Yeah.
Do you guys normally, like, with these tournaments, do you normally get people like from the other coasts coming across?
We usually get a few.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like Beans wanted to come out, but he's got a site install that he and Sanch are doing that same week
Right.
in San Antonio.
It's not that far away.
Yeah, it is. Baden did originally want to come out when this was announced, and then he went and got himself a new job, and doesn't have the time to be able to take off.
Yeah.
It's just stuff like that. People that either have made the trip in the past or would normally look at it. Just sometimes real life happens, and the reality is that sometimes with the scheduling for the both the West Coast tournaments and East Coast tournaments, sometimes when they have to get slotted isn't necessarily the absolutely most conducive to the greatest numbers of people being able to go.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of you're never going to get a site owner to close their facility on a weekend for a tournament. That makes no economic sense whatsoever. And running a tournament over the weekend, playing from like midnight to 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, we did that the first West Coast in Sacramento back in 2010, because it was just after. I'm sorry, 2009, because it was just after I got home. And yeah, it's one of those things that running them lock-in style on a weekend, it sounds really good in theory, and the theory is fantastic. It's like, hey, it's a weekend, we can hopefully maximize people getting here, but there are some real logistical challenges with having people playing from midnight till 8 in the morning, and then ensuring that the packs have enough charge so they can run the birthday parties if they need to the next day.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not as big of an issue on Gen 8 because those packs really seem to sip power. But then there's also the whole thing of most of us are getting old and don't really want to play from midnight until 8 o'clock in the morning anymore.
I think that's it. Yeah, that one.
That sounds like just the worst. Like 2:30, like from there I'll just be like, oh man, why are we still awake? And like you hit that 4 a.m. mark and you just want to murder someone. Like that's
for sure.
Yeah, that's a pass for me. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Wasn't the greatest thing we've ever done. So I think that was literally the last time that, at least West Coast wise, we ran a tournament like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. I don't remember at any point after that did we ever try to run things lock-in style again. I think they may have done one or two of the East Coast tournaments that way, maybe, but
yeah, they don't really get sunshine over there, do they?
Well, especially not Syracuse during the winter.
Yeah, no, it's they live in a state of darkness on the East Coast. Right. It's not all sunshine and lollipops like it is on the West Coast.
Accurate. That's accurate.
So, I guess like good. Oh man, we're segueing all over the place. So like,
it's almost like we've done this before, and we can take a very rough outline of things that we want to cover and naturally force the conversations into these channels that we want to run in.
It's crazy.
It's almost like we're semi okay at this whole podcasting thing.
That's right. Well, that leads me into, speaking of traveling. Yeah, so obviously, like, I had a chat with some of the boys from your site, Eves, for next year, and there was more positive reaction to coming down to Auckland than I kind of anticipated there would be.
Yeah.
How are you sitting for coming down next year?
Ooh, I'm hoping that I can go.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's still far enough away that I don't know
we
for
don't
sure.
we don't have to deal with it right at this moment.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I think there was, you know, rumblings of sort of 3 or 4 St. George players keen to come down.
Yeah.
Which would be amazing. Like even if it was most of a team or half of a team, it's still crazy. That's still
Yeah.
because it's such a distance. It's such a distance to come.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
And we didn't even come up like an hour and a half from Vegas, so
So yeah, so really, you guys could be excused for not wanting to travel,
That's true.
8,000 miles, 8,500 miles from St. George to Auckland because these assholes couldn't even drive 90 minutes up
Yeah,
the
we
road to
definitely
come
won't
and see
feel
you.
bad. We definitely won't feel bad if we don't show up.
yeah. Well, look, I hope that it works out because we love seeing you guys, especially you, man. Like we we went out for barbecue in Detroit. I think one of the first nights, maybe the night before.
Oh
or
yeah,
before the
was-
tournament.
I want to say it was Friday night.
Yeah, it may
A
have
few
been.
days before.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right because we were all still munted from the theme parks.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. Like, it's such a good time to hang out with you guys and eat barbecue and hear all the interesting stories about how y'all carry guns. No, allegedly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it'd be awesome to see you guys out down this way.
Yeah,
but-
I know we'd love to come. I know. I mean, Auckland, New Zealand is a pretty amazing place to see, so everybody says. And
It is.
if you're gonna
Yes.
go, you may as well go at the same time and play some laser tag.
That's
so.
right. If you do come out, are you gonna bring the family?
I don't know.
Yeah. That would because then you're looking at what, like 3
Triple the
weeks.
cost.
Yeah.
And yeah, so who knows?
Yeah. No, fair enough. Well, look, I really hope to see you guys. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, you never know. Like if by some miracle Air New Zealand significantly dropped the price of their airfares
That'd be great.
to the States for next month, I might see you there.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for it.
Yeah.
I mean, we have been to a lot of tournaments over the past 10 years that we didn't host.
Yeah.
So
Accurate.
And like you say, like if this is a precursor to 2021, maybe like that would be also pretty good. And I guess it'd be in like most people's best interest to actually make the trip because
yeah.
anytime you can get some experience in a
Yeah.
Foreign arena, the
Yeah.
better.
Well, it'd be awesome. I mean, we've never hosted a Nats before, and we're close to Vegas, and I mean, I think there'd be a lot of good things. So
We should definitely come. Yeah, we should.
Yeah, I'm just waiting. It's like, okay, so host and that's in St. George, and I'm just wondering like how many people are gonna basically do that 3-hour round trip like every day after play's done, so they can go to Vegas and get fucked up in Vegas and then come back to play lasers the next morning
actually,
because I guarantee it's gonna happen.
so we're right next to the border of Arizona and Nevada.
Yeah.
And so if you drive south down the freeway, right across the Nevada border, and I mean like 10 feet after you pass the border, there's
Yeah,
like
sounds right.
a small border town with casinos and gambling and you name it. And so that's where a lot of people go because it's only about 25 minutes. But
Yeah, that might have to be where we stay. Yeah, like I talk a good game, but there's no way I would make that trip on a daily basis. I couldn't even make it on the last trip. So yeah. Did you guys want to cover anything else?
I mean, I feel like we've navigated our segues really fucking impressively.
Well, yeah, but just, if we can keep it going for another 2 or 3 hours, that could be legendary.
Yeah, that's the Epic Eves podcast.
Yeah, I like you guys. I don't like any of you guys near enough to get that little sleep. Because we're gonna pull the curtain back here for a second. We're recording this at like, it's about 20 to 11 p.m. my time right now, and I've got a goddamn real early alarm in the morning. So the odds of this podcast going another hour, yeah, no, it's completely not going to happen.
Plus, you
I always get gypped on my podcast.
yeah.
Wow.
We call you like an hour
Really?
or like
Really?
an hour or two beforehand. Be like, hey man, what are you doing right now? Let's record a podcast.
The last one was just like, okay, we're gonna bring you on, and DK is gonna talk about his trip, and you can just listen in before everybody else gets to hear it, and then we're good. Like, okay.
I think last time we said that we were going to talk more about how you got started. So I'd be keen to actually record that podcast. Perhaps for next week if you're up for it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, sweet. Well, look, we'll leave it this week. So that old man Thang can get to sleep. I mean, you must have had dinner, what, like 5, 6, 7 hours ago? Y'all like to
I'm gonna fucking slap you the next time I see you, I swear to God.
Alright, well, thanks, Ease, for helping us out.
Thanks, guys.
we always appreciate talking to you, man. But if you are, we can I'd actually be keen to tee up a proper get to know you time with Thunder.
Cool.
Alright, well, for this week I've been Guy Next Door.
And I've been Than.
Always remember to backtrack, kids. We'll see you and Eves next week.